Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thanks for stopping by. Our dedicated team will guide you through with the latest updates and theories at Starbase, Texas. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for future streams.
9, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Zack Golden. Welcome to another Starbase Weekly live stream. If you can't guess what just happened there, I was muted. So, yeah, we have a great show for y'all this week. Things are starting to really pick up as far as the testing campaign leading up to Flight 12. So, lots of action going on over this past week that we will discuss in today's show. From the static fire of Ship 39, which technically, was that last week? I don't even know anymore. Booster 19 did have its 33-engine static fire test this week, so we will go over some footage from that as well. But yeah, lots of stuff to cover today. And joining us in today's show will be Alex. Thanks for being here, Alex.
No problem. Good to be here, Zack. And yeah, a lot of fun stuff to go over this week.
Agreed. And allegedly, I think Ryan is supposed to be here. Ryan?
Yes, I am here as well. So it's been an exciting week of testing on the version 3 vehicles. I've been waiting for that for a long time, and we had some good weather for flyovers. So a lot of cool pictures to go over today.
Yeah, I'd say the weather was decent. I could tell Mauricio was out there dodging clouds, as you guys can see in this image, but that seems to be fairly typical for this time of year. And still up at that 10,000-foot TFR, which I have a feeling is going to stay in place. We've kind of been maybe expecting that it would drop back down to 7,000 when the vehicles leave the pad, but I have a feeling that now that they'll be in semi-regular testing at least probably once a month, whether it's a static fire or launch once a month, we'll probably continue to see this TFR up at 10,000, unfortunately. But, got to work with what you got. And I guess we were used to this for, 3 or 4 years. So, just going back to what we were doing before. But yeah, with that, we will go ahead and start over at Massey's per usual. And I got to be honest, I'm not 100% sure of all the new stuff at Massey's this week. So I'm going to be discovering things with y'all. But we'll go ahead and start over at the static fire test stand. And when was Ship 39's static fire? Was that this week or last week?
Tuesday? Wednesday? I thought it was this week.
Yeah. I mean, so I will bring up some footage from it. I was actually just searching for SpaceX footage, but I forgot that they didn't post anything for this other than a few images. But yeah, we do have some footage right here from Starship Gazer that I can show really quick. And I think I'll put the audio on because he's pretty good at staying quiet so that you can hear the background noises. So I'll go ahead and put this on really quick.
We aren't getting any audio from that, Zach.
I turned it on.
Can you hear it now?
It's soft in Discord, but my Discord audio.
It's soft. It's soft in here as well too. Oh
Okay,
wait.
perfect.
That makes better. Through that, I was like, should I play this all the way through? I did. But yeah, awesome static fire test from Ship 39. I think it's really great that they went straight for that 60-second test. I did see some people pointing out in the chat that it looked like there was a bird that fell from the sky, which is not all that surprising. I think that happens during most static fire tests. People just don't see it. Yeah, you could see it flying down right there. Probably got a little taste of that steam cloud, more than likely, which is unfortunate. But it's kind of surprising that birds even fly anywhere near that area. What was that?
You have an echo.
Check your Discord volume, Todd.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that they even fly anywhere remotely near it once it gets started because it's just so loud. You would think they would just avoid that area altogether. But yeah, awesome footage from Starship Gazer, and make sure to give him a follow if you haven't already. I think he did post this to YouTube, or I know he at least posted on X. So if you want to watch it again, you can find it there. But yeah, after Ship 39 static fire, it went back to the production site, which was interesting because we haven't seen a single engine test yet, which is a bit odd. I kind of have some opinions on that. I do think we'll probably see it later. I'm kind of curious what you guys think. In my opinion, it seems like they sent it back to the production site so that they could get it ready for full stack testing. Like they want to test the tower systems as quickly as possible. And I have a feeling that it may end up coming back to Massey's to do a single engine test. What do you guys think?
if I remember right, I don't believe the last few version 2 ships did a single engine test when they were on the launch mount. So it may be something that they feel they understand enough about, and they don't want to continue doing those tests. It could also be something where they were able to combine maybe some of the stuff that they wanted to test in this long duration static fire. Not sure how exactly they'd managed to do that, but there's maybe some ways they could, test what they need to during that to maybe prove out that capability. It could also be that maybe they aren't really wanting to test that capability on the next flight. It'll just be on a trajectory that doesn't involve that. There's a number of
You cut out there a little bit at the end.
Think
Does Ryan?
Yeah, everybody flashed out for a brief second on Discord for me.
Okay. Well, Ryan, if you want to finish what you were saying, if you're still there.
Yeah, I think there's maybe a number of things they could be doing. It could be hidden testing from us. They may not want to do it on the next flight. They may feel like they understand it enough, but I wouldn't say it's unusual. I would say honestly, it's a little bit more unusual that they went straight to a 6 engine and not maybe like one RVAC and one sea level and then work up to a 6 engine. And it seemed pretty aggressive to go straight to all 6 engines. But we saw similar, testing with the booster going straight to a 10 engine test. So it seems like with version 3, they're taking a little bit of a different path when it comes to testing.
Yeah, Ship 39 seems to be on a testing speed run, since they also didn't do the thrust sim testing as well.
Yeah, I'm starting to get the feeling that with the ship, they don't necessarily have the same plans as far as what they're going to do in Flight 12. It almost seems like they're more just worried about the ascent phase and not re-entry as much for some reason. I mean, it's weird to me not to at least test ignition from the header tanks, since you should be expecting to, have ideally a similar performance this time around, where we were actually going to be re-entering and ideally, the soft touchdown on the water. So, yeah, I mean, it would be very interesting to me if they go into Flight 12 without that. Like, it would just, in my opinion, open them up for people to make comments like, of course that would happen. You didn't even test this, So, in my opinion, things like that are best avoided. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. As far as the test stand goes, not a ton of new stuff there. They did not use anything from this test structure during that test, as far as I recall.
Now, not on the hot fire stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that testing campaign happening this week, there wasn't as much progress with new things at Massey's. So they're still working on moving potentially the Raptor Chill collection, but at this point, we're not sure if that is still the same Raptor Chill collection. It may be a second one, because we have the Locks Pond right here, and then they're adding another one over, which is going to go over in this location. And I don't know. I've heard some people yesterday suggesting that this might be methane, which doesn't necessarily make sense to me. Alex, I think you were one of the people mentioning that, right?
Yeah, I'm on the fence. It appears on Pad B that they're just flushing when they're doing their final line purge bleed, that they're dumping it straight onto the flats. But which, at least on the pad side, is completely contrary to what they've been doing up to this point. Generally, they either recondense it or out here they flare it. And in some ways, this pad's the reconstruction, their methane side seems to be a bit more refined than the first iteration. So again, that kind of is a head scratcher. It'll be nice
Yeah.
when we get a night fire, because then we'll see the flare stack actually doing its thing.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll probably talk about that more when we get to the launch site. I think it's interesting that procedural change, and I think that we were kind of assuming that they were reclaiming during closeout. And by closeout, I mean after they finish prop load, you see that vent open on the launch mount, and it would dump all of the liquid oxygen from the flex hoses. We kind of assumed that something similar was happening on the methane side, but we didn't know like exactly to what degree that was happening. Like, are they completely purging out that entire line back to the tank farm? If you do that with methane, then you still leave. Sorry, if you do that with gaseous methane, use gaseous methane to push all the liquid back to the tank farm, then you still have methane fumes in those in all of your propellant lines. And then if you use nitrogen, then at some point you either have to purge some of that away so you don't start mixing nitrogen with your methane inside the tanks, or I guess, well, yeah, that's really the only option. And we didn't really see that happening. So I have a feeling that they weren't actually doing a full reclaim during closeout, and they are only just now starting to do that. And that probably could have contributed to some of the problems they had as far as with the booster QDs with the residual fuel after releasing the booster QD. So I think this may be possibly related to that type of procedural change. It is interesting to me that if they did put methane here, that it would go here instead of pushing it back to the reclamation tank or the flare stack, because this is a significantly less complex system than the launch mount, and even just as far as like proximity to the actual tank farm. It's not like they're sending it a quarter mile back to the tank farm. It's right there. So a bit surprising, but I'm guessing we'll probably get to. We'll figure out what that is rather easily. If it is methane, the first time they use that, and if they give us an actual video of the static fire test, this pond will probably be on fire. So
Yeah,
that'll actually be kind of cool to see.
that's what I'm kind of hoping for, to be completely honest.
Yeah, but I mean, on that note, it would probably mostly be gas phase, right? So like LOX is different because it's from the chill down process of the engine. So eventually, you start off with gas and then you start receiving liquid after the engines reach the correct temperature. But if this is just for closeout, then it would probably be
Not
mostly gas.
Yeah, it'd be a slug and yeah, then mainly it'd just be fumes at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see, instead of just releasing it like that. Like, I don't get why you wouldn't just flare it. Like, even if you had to put another flare stack over here, I mean, it seems to me like that would be the smartest thing to do, and also, more environmentally friendly to convert it to CO2 instead of just allowing that methane release. But yeah, we'll have to find out. Were you about to say something, Alex?
No, it's still a head scratcher that they're just straight closeout flush. Or at least that's what appears going on. So I'm not sold yet.
Yeah. What else do we have from this area? Not too much, right?
I mean,
Maybe changes in the tank farm.
The only thing was 3 of the vaporizers were plenty to run the flamed deflector. Since they're still.
You mean these?
Yeah. They previously had 4.
Yeah, and I think I don't think they ever actually used all 4. From what I could tell, it seemed like they were only using 3 at all times. So it's interesting that they got rid of that. Yeah, I mean, especially because I've been thinking, eventually that they might end up testing 9-engine ships on this stand, which, I mean, if you've heard me talk about this, I'm kind of speculative about whether or not they can, skeptical about whether or not they can actually do that here, because I think it would probably overwhelm the flame deflector. But yeah, I mean, I'm surprised they didn't just leave it here for future expansion, because they will eventually need some sort of expansion on this. But yeah, I guess we'll see further down the line.
Or they'll start doing some R&Ds with the maybe Raptors, but I hope not.
I don't think they'll do that here. To switch the entire gas generation farm, I have a feeling they won't do that. At least until if they eventually build a second static fire stand, then I think they'll do that. Well, that depends on a lot of factors, because I think it's possible that this could turn out to be the better option than what they're currently doing at the launch site. But we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get into the Booster 19 static fire.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't sure if I was going to mention that specific detail, but I think I will. So yeah, I'll just get to that when we get there later in the show. And sorry, I'm trying to move us down to the tank farm area to check on the progress of the expansion they're doing over here. And I don't think they made much progress this week. I mean, we can see some of the piles down here, but I can only see like 6. I'm sure they've done a lot more.
It's looking like they're starting to take apart their rigs, though, in this photo. The telehandler is pulling off some of the concrete tube hoses.
So they might be done already?
Yeah. Because I think it's been like 3 weeks it's been here.
Yeah, I guess... now that I think about it, I don't remember ever... Were the rebar cages down here visible?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a...
Okay, so they're
all
gone now.
gone. Yeah.
Okay.
And it doesn't look like there's any setups for them to tie more if they weren't.
Yeah. So are we thinking that there's still only going to be these 2? I'm still on the fence about whether or not these will stay here or if they'll go to the launch site, but I have a feeling these will stay here.
Yeah, the 2 vertical tanks are the ones I'm more intrigued with.
Yeah, I mean, these remind me of the Deluge tanks, but do you have any thoughts on these? Oh, hey.
Hey, there's one of the helium points. Their top feeds, inlets or outlets, are very similar to their reclamation tanks. But they're using that style, all over at McGregor, so perhaps they're want to supply higher pressure methane directly to the pump farm.
That would be interesting.
Yeah. Or they're going to expand out and they need more pressure building.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things going on here with this expansion specifically, because I think it is either a complete rework of the liquid nitrogen farm, or it's just expanding capacity. But the first option seems a little bit more likely to me. We also have some changes they've been making to the plumbing down here to route it to this new test stand, or not the new test stand, but the nose cone jail. So they have these gas lines. I think this is 1 liquid nitrogen line, and that's possibly a second one or a drain. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think the silver one might be a drain.
Right here. This one looks like gas.
Yeah. I think that's their bleed back. I thought we traced that back. I didn't to the box vent.
Oh, the box fan right here. Yeah, you can see it.
No, that's electrical. Never mind.
This one?
Yeah, it goes right into the fan.
Oh, yeah, good point.
They're crazy, but not that crazy.
Yeah, I haven't had enough time to trace this out yet, and I honestly probably won't take the time to do that until Flight 12. Um, but yeah, so they are preparing for this, for something to be tested here, and I don't think we've figured out what that test article is yet, right?
No, I'm thinking it's going to be another tank that they're still in the factory working on.
Yeah, it's certainly strange that it hasn't appeared yet, and even more curious with how late it is. If it is related to, the ship, more than likely, kind of makes me wonder if it's probably more HLS related. Just the simple fact that we haven't seen it yet. Well, I hope it's HLS related. But with our other test articles out here, we do have 18.1 or test tank 17, which is still chilling here, hasn't done much. 39.1 is still on the test stand, and I don't think we've seen a test from this in the last 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to go back and check that. I'm pretty sure we haven't seen any cryo tests between these two stands over the last week. So they're still doing some setup work there. And on that note, have we seen anything, finish adding anything to this stand that wasn't here last week?
No, not that
Besides these stairs?
thought the stairs
Was this here last week?
I think so. Those were always there, I thought.
Really? I think maybe I just haven't seen it from this angle.
Yeah, there's some little odds and ends, but we haven't figured out what they were. Like on the lower levels, there's those black struts on the cat right there, but nothing substantive.
And I don't know if we've seen ground images lately. Do we know if these are all the actuators are hooked up onto these?
They're not. At least
Okay.
yeah. Most of them are, half of them are on the ground. The ones up here aren't connected from the last set of ground photos that I've seen, nor the flyover images didn't show anywhere hooked up.
Yeah, in my opinion, this test absolutely has to be completed before Flight 12. Not necessarily for the grid fins, although that is equally important, but for the interstage, in my opinion, I think that this test should absolutely be completed before Flight 12, and that'll be interesting to see if it's like a one and done, or two tests, or if they go 8 or 9 tests like they have with everything else. So this is something that I'm personally looking out for when it comes to, well, in general, I don't like to predict dates for anything, but as far as like readiness for Flight 12, I think this would be something that needs to be added onto that list. But on that note, it makes it kind of hard to predict when we should expect Flight 12, because we don't know what the testing campaign for this will actually look like as far as how long it will go on for. But as you can see in these images, they are at least preparing for that, because they're currently filling up the liquid nitrogen farm, doing some offloads to the liquid nitrogen tanks. So we will probably see that. If I had to guess, both of these tests this week. It would actually be kind of cool to see them both at the same time, but I don't think they have enough capacity to do that. They might actually.
I
Like,
don't know if we've seen
almost.
It's their pumps, I think, that are lacking.
True, yeah, because they only have 4 pumps here.
Yeah.
Anything else at Massey's? Like I said, I've missed this part of show and tell yesterday, so
They're just doing some finishing work on the ship cryo stand, but overall it's fairly uneventful, other than the static fire and the finishing of the piles for the farm expansion.
it's pretty cool having all of these lined up like this. So when you're talking about the cryo stand, are you talking about this one or this one?
The crab, yeah.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've gotten the actuators were added a few weeks ago, right? And so do you think they're just connecting all the hydraulics and whatnot?
The hydraulics, they have some new snazzy blankets for the cylinders. But yeah, it looks like they're just doing their final.
Blankets.
All the vertical cylinders, they have those gray shells on them now.
These?
And the main cylinders of the center three. Yeah. There's little clamshell insulated jackets, so.
Well, that's interesting. I don't think I ever would have actually noticed that.
It's so random and out of character.
Yeah.
They grow up so fast these days.
Wasn't there another bunch of actuators somewhere else that had something added to them? I can't remember. I thought that was maybe it was at the launch site somewhere.
There's so many actuators here, I can't keep track.
Yeah. Do we have any questions from Massey's? Andy?
We do, actually. We have questions and donations and gifted memberships. So I'll start with the gifted memberships. We want to thank Martin for the 5 gifted memberships. And then all of the donations. Joe in Space donated $20 and says, thank you for all you guys do. Sharpie donated $5 and says, much kudos for all your work. Yazada with another $5 says, thanks to all of you for everything. Wilbo Baggins with a £2 donation saying, in my opinion, Zack rocks. Fly Jake with $5 says, come on, everyone, let's follow Wilbo, Sharpie, Yazada's, etc.'s lead and give some support to RGV. And then we got a $97.01 donation from Bam in Italy, who says, keep up the good work, Mauricio and the RGV team. And then for the questions, we have a question from Fly Jake. Excuse me, it was a $100 donation. From Fly Jake asking, is the flame trench covered?
Yes. So it's almost always covered. We rarely get to see down into it anymore. It's been a very long time, actually, since we've seen into there. So yeah, they usually leave it covered. I mean, it helps them to not have to put handrails up or something like that to prevent people from falling into it. So for safety purposes, I think it's just best for it to always be like this. But less fortunate for us, so we can't actually see anything down there. Wait, was there a 2-part question?
There's a second question. Drunar's wondering, couldn't gas CH4 push the liquid back to the tank farm, then purge the gas CH4 through the tank farm to prevent mixing? Or is the tank farm too high pressure to save the vehicle?
Alex, you want to take that one?
I'm thinking what's the best way to because it's a closeout when they're just the vehicle's already prepped, ready for the test. So this is strictly for protecting the ground infrastructure. You're trying to force it with basically gas. Blowing out the pipe was gas, so I think just the pressure flow, it's easier just to, unless you have a surge tank to catch it, it's easier just to send it straight to a pond.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, but you can push it back, whether it's the gaseous version of the same molecule or liquid or whatever it is, but you're still going to have some amount of if you transition to something else, say they use the gaseous methane to push it back, and then you want to purge out that line with, say, gaseous nitrogen, you're still going to have some amount of gas that gets mixed together that I would maybe consider dirty gas that you don't really want to do anything with that. It pretty much needs to get vented and thrown away. So it seems like regardless, you're going to have some amount of, throwaway gas. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it depends also if when you deal, and Zach's probably more familiar with when you're pulling raw natural gas, one of the things you'll have when you're purifying it, you'll use strippers. There's some forms of nitrogen rejection units that you can cryogenically remove the nitrogen from methane, whether or not they're you'd invest in that much added technology just to clean out when, in all honesty, it's
Oh,
not that much
they're
methane.
definitely not doing that.
Yeah, there's no stripping columns here
Yeah,
for sure. Potentially they could be
I,
doing some
to add to that, Alex,
Go on.
to add to that, sorry for interrupting you, but they did. I think, and initially they were doing things that way. Like they were even pre-pressing the vehicles with nitrogen in both tanks, and that was in the PEA, the revised PEA. They had actually mentioned the amount of nitrogen that they expected to be in both the methane and LOX supply, and that was purely based on, in my opinion, because they've never come out and like strictly said exactly what caused that, but in my opinion, that was from detanking because they were pressurizing the vehicle with nitrogen, and then when they detank and also pushing the lines back to the tanks, that's where that nitrogen was coming from. And I think they may have also been using nitrogen for their pressure building systems in the vertical storage tanks, and that was also a problem. And so after the vertical tank farm is when they started using same species gases for pressurizing both the vehicle and the tanks, with the exclusion of helium. So they will use helium to pressurize these tanks because it won't dissolve into the LOX. But if they use nitrogen, then the nitrogen dissolves into the LOX, and same thing with the methane. So, and I think that was actually also a thing that was causing certain nitric oxide, or what's the
NOx, just call
I'm
it.
trying to remember what it was that.
One of NOx.
Say that again.
I just refer to it as NOx. Yeah.
Yeah, that was something that they were measuring in the exhaust because of the nitrogen content in the actual propellants, and I have a feeling that has gone away now too.
Yeah, and you also get a performance hit for each percentage of foreign species in your combustion.
Yeah.
You pay a lot of money to get that 99.5 and above purities.
Yeah, who was that? Was that Dave? Which CEO was that commented on it on SpaceX's methane usage? Was it Rocket Lab or Astra? I can't remember. There was he had posted about it on X several years ago, but I can't remember which one it was. Anyway, any more questions from Massey's Indy?
There's one more question. It's from Jeffrey Morrison. They're asking, what's the filtration process look like when it comes to reclaiming gases and the debris in the pipes?
Physical filters for, and since they're primarily using the same species, they're just pretty much dumping it back into the tanks after they pass it through the basket strainers. The sieves and those you can go down to micron levels. I don't know how coarse theirs are, but they have filters before almost every inlet into the pumps or into the vehicles, and strangely, it's the only place they don't is in the fill lines going to the tanks. But yeah.
Yeah, you have 2 filters right here on the methane side. There's, I think 2 smaller ones right here.
Oh, they're check valves to
Are these
keep it
check
running.
valves?
Yeah,
Okay.
but they have if there's a side view just before it goes in the bunker, the fluid bunker. There's 2 more there that are leading to. You can just barely see them under there. There's 2 of them. One of them's for going when they're tanking, and one of them's further when they're detanking. And they have the
Yeah,
baskets
I think
full.
this is thinking,
Yeah,
and then detank. Yeah,
detanking.
that's similar on the cryo stand, if I can find it. Yeah, the cryo stands are similar. Actually, I don't know if they've changed it. They have. This is propellant loading. This is detanking, I think. It's been a while. Yeah, there was a third basket strainer in here. I'd have to go back and remind myself and trace all this out again. I forget more things than every time I learn something new, I forget like 10 other things.
I have no idea what you're talking about. What were you just looking at?
It was kind of interesting. It looked like they're in the bunker. They actually have the basket strainers open, like they were servicing them in that photo.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was
like,
wondering what that was. I was like, what am I seeing right now?
Well, it looked like the lid's on the ground there. There's like the bolts.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like they're servicing those. It would have been post-static fire.
Yeah. Just put trash bag over it and taped it down. That's hilarious.
I wonder if if that's a regular maintenance thing or if it's like they get some kind of like flow rate alarm that lets them know that, okay, after this test, we have to clean these out.
They can do that. Some of these, they have a self-cleaning where you'll backflow and there's a capture port off the bottom that they can just sort of like a pool filter.
I imagine they probably also just want to kind of spot check and see, okay, are we getting dirty at some point between tests, while it's in Mega Bay, or, what's going on. So that might tell you a little bit of health, like, are the pumps going bad? Are we getting little metal shavings? Or where is stuff maybe coming from that we, should be concerned about?
Yeah. They're compared to the early days, they've taken their bulk storage a lot more serious.
You can say that again. I've actually talked to some of them about their GSE, and it's really interesting to hear their stories about like certain things that led to certain events happening. It's just, as expected, a lot more that goes on behind the scenes than we ever actually get to see or hear about. Unless, I guess, Eric Berger comes out with a book.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm excited for his next book, but I'm also nervous for it because there's going to be a few things I know for sure, because they happened in the last one where I'm like, that did not happen the way they said it happened. I know for a fact that that's wrong. But it's interesting when he moves into a program that's a lot more visible as far as a lot of us having our own recollection of certain events that happen and being able to be like, don't think it happened that way. So yeah, it'll be interesting when his next book comes out. If he even does one, I'm interested to see if he's actually working on one, but I think he'll probably continue to keep that to himself. Cool. Anyways, if that's all the questions we have at Massey's, I guess we'll move over to.
I think maybe one quick thing. We did notice they put a big patch of tiles on 39.1, but I don't think we have any photos that actually show it very well. There's one that maybe shows just a hint of it on the side.
This
it
side?
would be, it's basically the opposite side from that we can't see from here. But yeah, there are tiles over there, but I don't think we have a photo that actually shows it.
Yeah, we only get the corner of it. We can barely see a sliver of it.
There's some there, and then it's further off to the left. Actually, I think you can see just the very edge of it, Zach, right? But yeah, right there.
It's a similar size patch to what they what they added to 39.
Yeah, I've been wondering about that, but like why about the tiles they've added on the front side of the flaps. But I feel like that's a question for Jax or Nick. Not that I don't trust your guys' answers. Actually, I do want to hear your guys' thoughts on it, but I don't have an image to show right now on hand. Maybe
Well,
when we get to the build side, I'll grab one.
I believe all those tiles are actually glued on, potentially. I don't think they actually have any pins on at least most of those tiles. So I think some of the theory is, well, at least my personal theory, I think it can probably be accepted that they have them on the back side of the vehicle so that the onboard cameras can more easily see the tiles. So if stuff does shed in flight, then they can actually see and maybe catalog where and what could be the potential cause of that. But as to what they're actually testing for, obviously if they're glued, they're probably testing, different thermal
I
conditions.
think you may just remember it's from you, not on Alex,
Is it me or did Zach just completely potato?
Yep.
I think this is Zack potatoed.
Okay.
Well, maybe Zack tries to figure that out. Yeah, I think they're basically testing different tile attachments and to see what happens. I think some of them on the flaps may be an attempt to see how that affects with staging, because I know previously there was a lot of you could tell that the metal on the flaps was getting a little hot. Now, whether that was due to hot staging or just the heat from the plume expanding in the vacuum, it's probably more likely, the latter. But there's, a possibility that at least the bottom part of the flaps eventually are covered in stuff. So I'm tempted to think that some of the tile attachment on the flaps is related to that.
The different size tiles also sort of leads to your theory, which I agree with, that they're just seeing how everything, the adhesion holds, and how when they fail, how they break off. Since
Yeah, I think I'm back now. Can you guys hear me good?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And I missed everything you were saying. Were you discussed the front of the tiles on the front, right?
Yeah, I think, a lot of these look like they're glued, so, and they're on the flap itself. So, I mean, naturally too, with the flap, the flaps are gonna wave in the atmosphere, as different pressure waves start resonating down the metal, because they are hollow. So you're gonna get a little bit more flex on the flaps compared to, the metal body. So they also, and I kind of thought about this on the spot here too with what I was saying, is they may be trying to use this, as to see maybe what's happening on the opposite side of the flap. As I mentioned, the metal is going to wave a little bit. There's a potential that tiles could shed off the other side of the flap that they can't easily see with the cameras. So, by putting it on the backside, maybe if there's an event in a specific spot, they can see that also, in the tile that's on the backside of the flap.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I like when I see this is that I'm hoping that the tile experiments have moved to the leeward side.
I think for data collection, it's probably smarter. I mean, you can see, okay, with the cameras in the tanks, is there a hotspot forming here and there, and correlate that to, okay, we removed the tile from here or there. That's fine, but I think they really want to start catching the ships as soon as possible. So instead of performing some of these tests, I mean, I think they've pretty much learned for the most part what's happening on the windward side during reentry. So any experimentation they want to do as far as the tile attachment goes, I think that's the big thing they want to test with version 3, since they have changed the way the tiles attach. So they can do that on the leeward side with the cameras able to see the tiles popping off and collect data from that, because I think they want to try and speed run some of the tile data gathering for version 3 so they can start catching ships as soon as possible.
Yeah, the scent forces should be about the same. Everything pre-plasma.
Where are the cameras on the? Are they?
So we haven't seen any cameras for the aft flaps yet, but that's not to say that there aren't any that we haven't seen yet, because they added cameras to the booster the last time that it was in Mega Bay, and it came out and it had more cameras. So it's possible they're still adding some. And honestly, they may put cameras on the raceways looking sideways instead of having a separate pod. I'm kind of thinking they might, given how big the raceways are now, they might be able to poke one on there, which is exactly what they did with the booster.
I want to see two. I want to see two cameras right here, because these surfaces are perfect for that, and so are these ones actually, kind of. And I mean, if they're not going to put anything in here for now,
yeah,
you could also put a camera in there. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of final outfitting that's going to go on with Ship 39. I mean, there's always the expected stuff, like removing all of the hardware for all that they're testing with. All these wires and whatnot. They're probably all in the engine bay as well too. So all of that stuff will be removed. Maybe not until after the wet dress rehearsal. So I do think that both vehicles are going to be moving around quite a bit. Like I expect to see the ship to the production site at least once, if not twice, and then possibly at least once back to Massey's. But that's just my opinion. Is Joey Bag of Donuts in the chat today? Because when we get to launch site, I'm quoting him on something he said this morning.
We haven't seen him yet.
All right. Usually we get a comment or super chat from him, and I haven't seen one yet.
I'll let you know as soon as
he's
it
not
comes
showing up
through.
today. Yeah. Okay.
We do have a couple more questions if you're interested about Massey's.
Yeah, of course.
First off, we want to thank Bam in Italy for the 20 gifted memberships, and Wilbo Baggins for another £2 donation. And he says, "Go on, Zack. Say, quote, in my opinion, lots." He really likes the fact that you're prefacing a lot of your sentences with "in your opinion." Drew Nar also wants to know.
We all do. We have to.
I don't think we all do, but you do, and I think that people appreciate that. Drew Nar wants to know, so what happens with boil off in the tank farm if there's no surge tank?
Parts of it goes through the reclamation system. They have some buffer capacity, but as far as I can tell, they don't have any, like a slug catch tank, which I don't know, other than when they're closing out and blowing out the line with high pressure gas. I don't know, wouldn't expect them to ever have to deal with that.
We're talking about boil off in these tanks, right?
Yeah, the locks, they just straight vent the bog vent. If we're talking about bogs, then yeah, most of that's just straight vented to the atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean it depends on when it's happening. So like if these tanks are sitting here partially filled for long periods of time, then they'll well, it's kind of a complicated process. So for one, you have your helium tanks under here, so they'll bubble the helium in through the bottom of the tanks, and it kind of like stirs everything. It's called destratification, and so that's why they use very large amounts of helium, which shockingly few people believe is still happening. I was talking about helium shortages the other day on X, and people were like, well, good thing SpaceX doesn't use it anymore. They definitely do. So they have helium tanks just ready to go at all times. There's you may have heard me point this out to Alex a few minutes ago, because we were looking for these helium pumps earlier a few weeks ago, and we couldn't find it. So they did have 3 of these, and I'm guessing 2 of them are now underneath the LOX tanks, and they're just not using that one anymore. So just off screen over there where we saw those helium tankers, that's where they basically feed that helium into the tanks underneath here and use that for destratification. So when you have all of that basically in the tanks, and I don't know if they use it during propellant loading as well. I have a feeling they do.
They do.
Yeah. So basically you're filling those tanks up with helium, and then as soon as you detank, you're purging all of that helium. So it's extremely expensive. And as things currently stand, there is not a substitution for that. On the liquid nitrogen side, there is, because they just use they just vaporize the liquid nitrogen and send it back to the tanks. For some reason, they don't do that on the LOX side, and I don't fully understand that. But yeah, all of that stuff, anything that's in the tanks, as far as gas goes, gets purged during detank, and there's no reclamation unless it's on the methane side.
The other gag you can use helium for, they use it on when the vehicles are tanked, you bubble it through, and as it bubbles, it's a little complicated mass transfer, but you can subcool, since you're essentially getting the oxygen or methane to boil into a bubble of helium. And then
yeah, that reminds me. The other way that they get rid of that gas, when they're offloading. So like these guys are over here offloading right now. So one of these lines, so you can see the fill lines right here. I think there's 2 of them. I'm not actually sure on this one, and usually they're able to either top fill or bottom fill. So if there's a ton of gas in that tank, they'll top fill. And so it basically sprays down into the tank, which condenses some of that gas back into a liquid. And that prevents them from having to vent the gas.
Yeah.
But I think that they stopped doing that at the tank farm, right?
It's
only bottom fill now?
Most of the new LOX tanks, they added the 4 of them. They don't, when they're detanking, it all goes through the same. Previously, 4 of the LOX tanks, when they're detanking, they could send it to the spray bars or send it to the bottom. They also sometimes will, haven't looked at farms if they're equipped, you'll also circulate the gas, and you'll again send it through the top spray bars. When the tanker, the gas, the liquids in the trucks, when they're driving around, actually boils off slower than when it's sitting in these tanks, just from the physical agitation. One of the gags with, if your bog pressure goes too high in those tanks, or the temperature, especially if the temperature starts surging, you slam the brakes to get it to slosh back, and that'll basically force some of it to flash boil, and that'll pull out a lot of heat and recondense a ton of the gas. And
Quite complex.
the other, yeah, and the other one is when they have the tanks up at loading pressure. Since it's up a couple atmospheres, the boiling point raises. So also when they vent these tanks, you're going to get a lot flashing, because again, it's boiling points at 90 Kelvin, and yeah, it'll, and it was at 100, it's going to have to shed a bunch of that heat, and the only way it can do that is with a phase change. So
do you think this is the top fill line right here?
it looks like because they can also, with the valve sets, they can moderate it as well, but this one looks like they're doing that. They sometimes will send the gas back, so the bog get connected, so then you're using the volume of gas in the tank, transferring it to the tanker. So that's the other,
to push it out?
Yeah, well, to equalize it. Some of these will pump, some of these will use pressure to move it. It depends.
I never even considered that as an option. That's interesting, actually.
Yeah. I mean, that's a quick and dirty one why sometimes the methane farm doesn't need as much pressure building infrastructure as because you can sort of connect the two. So they're seeing
Right.
the same atmosphere. So you're only pumping up again. But yeah,
That's
you
pretty
still need,
interesting.
yeah.
Cool. Well, we are an hour into the show, so I guess we'll go ahead and move over to Sanchez, unless we have any questions.
One last one from
Maybe
Crane
we
Man.
can- Okay.
They're wondering, is there any more damage to the concrete in the Massey's Flame Trench after full duration R3 static fire?
Probably.
I didn't see any, but
Yeah, that's one of those things you need a close inspection for. But during was it the SpaceX footage? Sorry, the single image that they posted. Let's see. I'm pretty sure you could see the flames coming up. Oh no, that was from NSF. Yeah, so I don't have access to those right now. But yeah, the flames, similar to what was happening with Booster 19, the flames are basically along the wall. So these are basically in contact with that flame the entire time, which is interesting. In my opinion, I think from basically what I see, I think the ramp itself is probably a lot better shielded than the walls, just because of the way the plume curls up along the walls. I wish I had a video of this so I could show it better. Maybe next time.
It's also a little misleading too because the smoke and steam is going to do things with the light from the fire. So you might just be seeing light reflecting off the steam and scattering and then onto the wall. So just because it looks orange doesn't necessarily mean there's a flame there. So it can be a little misleading just trying to, unless you see like a side view of like the physical flame. Sometimes it might just be a light light being cast on a surface.
Unless it's super heavy, which is for sure massive flames coming out of the trench. We'll get to that though. All right, I'll move us over to Sanchez. Actually, really quick, there was nothing at the airport. There was something at the actual port of Brownsville, which I guess we maybe should come here first, since we knew they were getting set up for the next launch mount, and obviously the flame deflector pipe sections have continued to show up. But as of this week, I guess we do have, and I haven't seen it myself, so I guess components for the new launch mount have started to show up, and I'm going to assume they're in here.
yeah, right. That one at the very top of the frame.
Huh. Nice. I wonder if they're going to just leave all of them here. Or are they transferring them?
I don't think they could. I don't think they have a crane to transfer it. I mean, they could put it up on the blocks and roll their trailer under it.
These blocks?
Yeah. It seems kind of sketchy.
But how do they lift this? How do they raise this?
Oh, you're right. That isn't one of the hydraulic trailers. Yeah. I mean, I guess they could slide right on the very edge, but that seems sketch.
I mean, I guess you could use your brakes or your air suspension. Yeah, I mean, just off. I'm trying to. I thought it was. Keep thinking that one of these images is going to have the full thing in view. I guess there's only one or two. Yeah, that's curious. I wonder if they're going to leave them here until they're ready to move them up, or if they're actually going to transfer them. Because it was curious why they bought these new trailers, and I don't think we've actually seen them use them yet, right?
This is the closest I've seen them to being used.
Yeah.
They don't exactly have a lot of room right now at Sanchez to start stockpiling these parts either, and they don't really have the support stands in the right configuration right now to begin construction. So I imagine they may want to stage pieces for a little bit until they're ready, and then we'll probably know when they're going to start moving stuff over because we will see this area get reconfigured. With all those kind of intermediate stands put in the right spots.
Yeah, I mean, where do they? I don't even know where they'll have room to do this. I mean, obviously they'll have room there, but as far as staging other things like and the flame deflectors, like this right here is where the flame deflectors were constructed last time. I think, or
Yeah.
maybe it was right here.
No, it was that area. Yeah, and pipe fitters are working in that area, so
Yeah, and they're building. I mean, this is going to take quite a while. The mega or gigabay panels, and obviously you're probably not going to move this huge storage rack. So I don't know where they're gonna do this.
well, the other thing is too, is that piece that showed up as far as the top of the deck, so they're not even close to needing that yet.
Right.
It'll probably be a situation where they don't have all those pieces laying over here. It's, they'll have a staging lot nearby, and then if they need piece, A1, then they go and they grab it and bring it over and they lift it, and it'll probably be lifted in place, exactly when it's needed, so they don't have it just laying around.
Yeah. Speaking of laying around, there's so much stuff down here. Like getting distracted looking at all of it. So they're still in the process of outfitting. I think this is BTS 1, maybe. But the third booster transport stand, the third ship stand seems to be nearly completed. With still missing the clamps though. Actually, so is this one, or does this have it? No, I don't think it does.
No.
What else is down here in Sanchez? I haven't actually checked through this area at all myself yet. Missing anything over in this area, Alex? I don't know if you...
No, not really. They're just finally reconfiguring their new finishing station.
Are you talking about this?
Yeah.
Is this for paint or something?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's paint because those are bead blast and sandblast equipment and back, the red ones.
Are you talking about these?
Yep.
Are you colorblind?
Orange. Did I say red?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see what else in Sanchez. So looks like they got, I think 2 of these were not in place last week. So they've gotten 2 more of these in place, the mega packs. The other 2 were moved to Sanchez, or sorry, Massey's. And then I think they're probably gonna have another one here and possibly more on this location, or maybe they'll strip this out and put them all in the same orientation. Not much else going on there. We still have our mystery structure down here, which, or I guess this one's a mystery, not so much this one. But the grid fin tester is down here, and I don't know if they've done anything new with that this week. I don't think so. And we're still no closer to figuring out what these are for.
Nope. Is it?
Did BJ mention why they're doing what they're doing with these in Sanchez?
Yes, but it's hard to explain without the Florida. Their images show it better. They're adding a structure just above the main bridge cranes to the center, and we're presuming they're for hoisting up the trolleys. for installation and maintenance. Because
Oh, okay.
yeah, because you can the vertical, the big square piece is what's going to support the rail, and at the
Yeah, the
very
bridge
end
crane
of it,
rail rests across
yeah,
this.
yeah, and right above it, they're adding support for some cross members that sort of cantilever out just over the beam, the rail. Yeah, they'll
Okay.
go, but
Is that one there
and
on the top right, Alex? Is that what it looks like when it's done? That
no,
top?
it's
Okay.
yeah, it's a pretty the beam spans the width of the edge, the double wide section, and then hangs over a ways.
Okay, I think I got confused by what it's laying on. It almost looks like it's done, but it's not.
Yeah,
So these ones are for the workstations, right? Not for the transfer aisles, because they have looks like they'd have rails on both sides.
yeah. I think one of
I see
them
them.
is for the cross support, and one of them's for the actual bridge crane. I not as
Okay.
I haven't looked at these close enough to be able to point out where that one goes, but if I get it wrong completely, BJ will usually show up and bail us out. But I don't think we'll to get some
I
karting
just checked to see if
excitement.
he was online. He's not.
No. Well, the only interesting thing is I didn't part of the pancake manifold show up.
Oh yeah, God, we forgot that.
I think it was showing up mid flyover too, so we almost missed it. There.
Yeah, this is funny. So this is the piece. If you guys watched my last episode, I think it was part two. I talked about this piece being, well, it actually wasn't this one that was backwards. It was the plate that was on the launch mount. The header plate that this attaches to was backwards. Like basically, this half was reversed or flipped reverse of what it should have been. And so we were kind of joking about this last night, saying that this will prevent that from happening, but technically it won't, because this wasn't really the problem. It was the header plate. But yeah, we do at least see this first manifold showing up, which is also insanely early. I wonder where they're going to put that. It's just, wow. I mean, if things like this are showing up already, they're going to run out of. They're going to need like a whole warehouse just to store launch mount stuff in.
Yeah, the scheduling for a lot of their hardware deliveries in the past have been pretty spot on for when stuff is needed, at least for maybe measuring. They might not be for assembling, but it does seem quite early and sporadic for what is starting to show up for, I guess, pad one. So yeah, it's interesting. It's different than in the past.
I was trying to figure out where he went. Where did they offload it? Is it like?
Oh, it's
right there.
Yeah.
So it's probably now sitting in this lot over here somewhere.
Probably. Well, it's funny is that when we get to the launch site is how much stuff they're just filling by pad one.
Oh, just dropping equipment near pad one and just using that as their storage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sheer volume of it's like, why is that here? You're not gonna need that for 5 months.
I mean, it seems like their fabrication is just going super, super fast. I mean, with basically building 3 launch mounts at the same time, I guess it's not all that surprising that the fabricators don't have room in their yards to store it, so they just need to get things out.
The
I think
fabricators
that may be part of.
the fabricators are running on Elon time, unfortunately.
Reverse Elon time. Oh, well, you mean like they are under the impression that it's needed a lot sooner than it actually is?
Exactly. They believed him.
That's funny. Moving over to the breakover standard / horizontal transport stand. It looks like they're potentially back to work on that.
Yeah, they're adding those
Yeah.
tabs.
Welding. Is there a good top down of this? Okay, that just took me further away. So these tabs right here.
Yeah.
And are there any other new components of this that have showed up?
No, and this area is getting more and more distracting since they're working on gigabase stuff. They're working on factory frames.
Yeah, what is going on down? Are these bridge crane rails?
Yeah, so there's the main rails before they put the beams that hold the rail.
Yeah,
The
even
big
these
box.
seem early. Let's see, what else do we have down here? Oh, okay. I guess there's 4 transport stands. I thought there was only 3. I think that's almost everything at Sanchez, unless I'm missing something. It's been a while since every stream, nobody has questions at Sanchez, so I'm going to assume that's the case today, unless Indy says otherwise.
I say nothing.
Cool. Alrighty then. Well, let's move over to the production site. And I'm checking to see if BJ magically hops online now that we're here. It's definitely his favorite place to talk about. But yeah, making good progress on the Gigabay. It is a little bit more difficult to distinguish sometimes what they have been doing week to week because these sections are a lot shorter than what we've seen up to this point. But yeah, they're making tons of progress, especially with the paneling. So we can see along the side over here, they're on their 3rd row of paneling. Is that all the way around too? Or have they reached out on the backside? Yeah, they have.
Yeah. They've been doing it in stripes.
Basically spiraling up the building.
Yep.
Yeah, I think next week we'll have our first completed doorway. And on the opposite side, I don't think we have. Okay, we do have some on this side. Again, still no panels on this side, which we're not expecting to see any, because this will basically be open to the factory. I think the panels won't start until above the doorway.
Right.
Yeah.
And then these and the little partition walls on the stacking cells, if you some of them, they on the tops you can see like in between the 2 cranes, you can see it's a little hammerhead coming out where they're going to be setting the bridge cranes that'll be going east west. Yeah. Now inside the actual cell, straight down, right above your bar.
This?
Yeah. Yep. Those are the little ledges that the bridge crane rails that are going to be sitting on for the small ones for each of the stacking locations.
So these are the only cells that get their own bridge crane. So 6, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to get their own little east-west cranes that'll just be inside their little work area.
And these walls go a little bit higher than the other stations, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I
So-
think one more level.
Okay.
And yeah.
They've done. Where are they at with concrete? So they're concrete. Looks like they're one level above where they're trying to stay ahead of the the exterior paneling.
That's how it's looking like.
It's really cool with the walls up there. It makes it easier to see the inside of the building a little bit. Just barely. As far as the actual workstations, this is a good view.
Yeah.
You can see those workstations a lot better. Yeah, this entire building is crazy. I'm excited for them to have everything fully outfitted whenever that happens. And I do wonder when we'll actually see them start to work on actual workstation stuff, and whether or not that's going to wait until after the superstructure is completed, or if they'll actually make use of these tower cranes while they have them. Let's see. Was there any new Gigabase stuff that that BJ pointed out during show and tell yesterday?
Just sort of where the birch crane columns are gonna go, but it's hard to. My brain just gets. I get all cross-eyed looking at all this steel. So
yeah, it's hard to look at this point. The ones that go across this direction, do we know where those? I'm guessing those will be mounted along this.
Yeah.
Okay.
The ones that are sitting in Sanchez they're working on. And there's the 2 height. I'm not sure if this section gets a shorter versions, or if these are getting the tall ones. Because this is where the floor elevations start getting a little crazy, where it's not even spaced. There's sections where you have the full height floor, and then there's ones where they're sort of shorter. We're starting to get into.
You're talking about the walls or the literal floor?
The walls, the walls and the floor levels in the walls, it starts not being as symmetrical at the very top.
Gotcha. Yeah, these low angles are kind of helpful as well too. You can see those rails for the bridge a little bit better.
And then directly the next row of columns that they're putting in that section should have the east, north, south rails.
I kind of miss being able to watch them actually work during on Rover 1 camera. Let's see. So behind the 2 mega bays, still have the static fire stands sitting out here, and a bunch of other random stands and lifting jigs, but nothing really of note to mention back here. Yeah. And then I think do we have any good looks in the bays this week? We do, but there's not much to see in there because Booster 19 is out at the launch site. Booster 20's LOX tank is over here currently, and they are, I think this is the first, what is this? Is this the forward section?
Ryan,
I'll be honest, I have
pretty
not
sure
been keeping track of the Booster 20 construction. I've been way too focused on Booster 19, so I'm not sure where they are. I don't think the forward was in there, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, we'll probably have to follow back up on that one. I feel like I saw it roll out though, but I could be wrong. In Mega Bay 2, ship 40 is in the back, but we're not going to be able to see that currently from these views. So I guess I will continue to move us forward. I'm not sure if there's anything at the Star Factory either. Just a lot full of stuff that we do like to look in from time to time, but I don't think there's anything new here this week. And the village, I feel like that we can probably save for the Tuesday show, other than the, we'll take a look at the Rocket Garden, which they are still working on framing all of this out, whatever exactly this is. We still don't know yet. Doesn't seem like they made a ton of progress on it this week, though. Yeah.
Just tall forms.
Yeah, so not a solid idea on what the new Rocket Garden is actually going to look like yet, or what exactly is going back here. But either way, they are making progress, though. I don't think anything else in the village worth discussing. What was that? I've never actually noticed this before.
It's fairly new in a pump track.
That looks fun.
Yeah.
It's a volleyball court, playground. What was back here that got ripped out?
The maintenance buildings, I thought.
Yeah, it was just a bunch of storage buildings, if I remember right.
So looks like they're maybe going to expand their tiny homes.
Which is kind of hilarious because I thought they're building the apartment complex to start scaling back on their tiny homes, but
right. Apparently not. Yeah, and the apartment building itself, it looks like the parking garage is fully open now, for the most part. Yeah, well, let's go ahead and move over to the launch site then. I think we'll start with the ASU. What's new this week, Alex?
They moved the power bunker over, which is kind of fun and exciting. Puts that mystery to rest, and they're just started erecting the steel above the compressor hull, and a lot of work on the plumbing of the pre-purification to cold box or heat exchanger plumbing. It's starting
on the backside?
Yeah. Yeah.
Got all these pipes show up today or this week?
Yeah, I think the large one with the 2 elbows on it showed up right before the flyover. It should be the main interconnect to the from that top white V coming off. Yeah. Yep. That'll come across horizontal, then there'll be a riser connecting it to that orange pipe dead center. Yeah, to there.
It reaches that far?
The top one does, yeah. And there's a riser.
Yeah, I guess it does fit. Riser.
Yep.
Definitely good progress there. And it doesn't seem like this is all finished, though. I thought these were supposed to be connected.
There will be, but I think since that line will, after this wall goes in, it heads to the center. you can see the stub outs a little bit further up in the gray gravel. Yeah.
Up here?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
right
these?
there. Yep. They're gonna plug in. 2 of them will plug into those, and 2 of those will head across where the orange lift is into that. Yeah.
There's another. So the other building that's at the Starhopper parking lot goes in here too, right?
I'm assuming that's the old ones that they had for the suborbital, and where it looks definitely like it's just temporarily sitting there. And I want to say there was one of their submittals up where all the trucks are, right at the entrance. I thought there was another building there, which potentially is where that one would go. But yeah,
Well, definitely making some really good progress out here for sure. And sorry, I always forget these ones. The vaporizers.
yeah, the cooling towers for the
Towers.
for cooling off the compressed air for all the
Right.
intercoolers.
I suppose this will probably be showing up rather soon.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to the tank farm. Oh, actually, I'm already there technically. The other side. So
Ryan,
across the street
we're
from
done
the
looking-
ASU.
Ryan's favorite building, the SU. I'm joking.
What do we have down here? So a lot of staging of equipment, like a ton of it. They even already have the covers for the trenches, which is super early. But down here, I think most of the stuff is fully active now as far as the new. We did see them testing using these tanks this week for sure. And you can actually see them frosted, right, hit the line frosted right here, I think.
Yeah, that's the heading to the bog to the reclamation, I believe. Oil off gas.
We had some interesting stuff happening out here yesterday, or sorry, during the static fire test. There's lots of crazy noises coming from this farm, which if y'all saw, I posted a video of it on X. I don't know if I necessarily need to show it now, but yeah, really interesting noises that were coming from this tank farm, which didn't get repeated out on the second test. So I was like kind of confused if something weird happened during the static fire. Alex, did you actually ever see that video?
Yeah, we were looking at last night.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, I forgot about that. You know what? Matter of fact, might as well talk about it instead of show it. Yeah, so super odd stuff going on there, but it did not get repeated, and it actually got even louder. I just don't feel like sitting there watching the whole minute video right now. But yeah, basically what we were kind of seeing was ice popping off of these cryo lines, but it was kind of confusing whether or not the ice falling off was making that sound, or if there was actually mechanical things going on within the steel itself contracting, and that was causing the ice to fall off. But yeah, very bizarre. And like I said in this post, out of all the years that we've been watching all this stuff, never seen or heard anything like that. So that was very odd. But good to know that this side of the tank farm is. What was that?
YouTube did not hear the audio on that. It looks like.
I blame Matt. Let's try again.
Matt.
Let's see if it works this time. Yeah, it got kind of ridiculous. There was times where it sounded like, I don't know, somebody was fighting a war inside of the tank farm or something. So yeah, super interesting though. And with these tanks being active, we still are waiting for two more to. Oh God, I forgot about this.
Yeah, don't.
Okay, so yeah, there's a few different things going on here. So we thought we were waiting for two more tanks to show up, but apparently not. These 6 are being prepared to be removed. You can see the Buckner crane over here getting set up for that. So we'll probably have at least some of these gone by this time next week. But Alex, what's going on with the methane tanks?
Unfortunately, it's looking very likely the 2 rib tanks are just going to be. Yeah, the shot really shows the embed and the piers are all lining up for these to just be shifted over.
I hate that so much.
Oh, I have no words for it.
At least they're the same length. They're almost the same, almost identical, other than the ribs, right?
Yeah, they're pretty close.
I mean, I guess we got to take a win on that.
And they have the big dent in it still from Flight 1, so there's that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe that thought didn't even occur to me that these are going there, but it definitely explains that second row of footings. I'm curious why they even have the first row. I don't know if that was just to give them options in case they change their mind.
It's very not SpaceX like, but yeah.
You think they'll try and get these moved soon? Like, they're still using them right now, right?
Yeah, those two are still hooked up. I believe they are. The little ones were disconnected last week.
You sure?
Yeah. There's that red. Yeah, that shot should show it. The pipe on the left side on each or camera right. So the opposite side of that one, right? That one. If you follow towards the tank, there's a gap right below. Right there. Yeah, there's a flange. There used to be yeah.
Was it like a flexible connection there or something before?
There was actually an actuator.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So they just pulled the actuators out.
Yeah.
Interesting. So yeah, we'll see these moved very soon then. And probably off to McGregor or something.
McGregor gets all the good stuff.
I mean, actually, I wouldn't even be surprised to see these go to Massey's for some reason, but I hope not. I think they've moved on from using tanks this small, which is crazy because when these first showed up, they were huge, but now they don't seem like it. Um,
I
good
mean,
progress though, and again, all of this is temporary because it will all move again sometime within the next year.
they could send it to Vandy for Slick 6.
It's actually a good point. Yeah, better used there than here for sure.
Yeah, because all the Falcon infrastructure is using that size stuff, as far as I remember.
Sorry, got distracted by the helium tankers.
Right?
Where are they offloading? I don't get it.
I couldn't find.
Out of view right here. This tank farm is huge. It's like you can never fit everything in one view. Yeah, I don't even see the pumps. I'm guessing these are helium then.
Yeah, I
It's
know
closest thing to it.
by the blast wall under the first tank, there's some infrastructure, but I never got a good look at. Or they're using whatever's in the big hut.
Yeah.
In the middle of the bottom between the N3 tanks, there's that skiff. Yeah, that. I've never figured out what they're using that structure for, what's going on inside of it.
Have you ever noticed this?
Yeah, that's the old bleed line that used to go to those 3 box fans they had in the center between. Yeah,
gotcha.
and now it's being rerouted back to the large box fan.
Cool. That's probably all we really need to talk about in the tank farm currently. But let's move over to pad 1. Then we'll get to the fun stuff. So pad 1 is got some weird things going on. I guess we'll start with this structure over here that's being constructed next to the within their, I guess, staging yard. So I'm confused what this is for. It looks the shape looks similar to the bunker, but it doesn't at the same time.
I believe it's a bunker embed. This one's bunker
Like
is gonna be
the base for the whole bunker. Like you
Yeah.
turn it upside down and use it as an embed.
Yeah, there's tons of ground shots on the end of where the opposite side of the verticals. You can see there's 2 sets of Nelson studs that would be pretty much directly under the columns. Yeah, right there.
Wait, what?
That one you can see so if you flip that over, those would be where the little short verticals on the outer A frame sort of slip walls of the
Right.
bunker, and the end ones were But what's strange is you have that this sort of basement assembly underneath it, and looking at this frame, either that basement's going to be the full size on this one, or something weird is going on.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that there wasn't going to be too much difference between pad 1 and 2, but it seems like the bunker at least will be very different.
I think
in some
most
ways.
of the difference, looking at this, I think they're using that sort of propellant trench area to soak up the meter and change height difference that they need to do.
This?
So yeah, that propellant trench where, that's where the propellant trench is underneath. But where they're excavating the square, now it's starting to appear that they might be routing the propellant on this side rather than behind the tower.
How's that going to work? So, like all the way across over here?
Yeah, that's what it's almost looking like now. which because at 39 they did have the expansion loop. It's right at the edge of the surface gantry, or as a surface bunker, but it was on the towers on the opposite side.
That would be
Of
crazy,
the
though. I mean, that's a weird direction to go. It's,
right.
I mean, so you're turning here and then running. You almost
And
have
then
to turn
probably,
back a little bit and run
yeah,
alongside the wall.
or yeah, everything. It's strangely looking like they're running the propellant lines on this side rather than behind the tower like they did at 39 and Pad B.
Is there any chance that they're making a U right here? And then,
They
because
could
what is up
be.
with this?
Well, we're gonna have the deluge lines have to go through there, but those are going the wrong way for the deluge as well. It's sort of everything about this currently is kind of maybe somebody read the plans wrong. It's a joke, but
Yeah, it's really odd.
Ryan, do you have any insights?
Yeah, I'm trying to parse it, I guess, in real time, the same that Zach is, but it does feel weird. I mean, for right now, where the propellant is stored, it kind of makes sense to go the direction it appears they might be, but if, they're changing where the methane is going to be long term, especially considering they have those plans now, it seems like it would make more sense to have it be the way that pad 2 is, where it comes along the right side here behind the tower instead of the front side there. So yeah, that's it's really interesting. Not quite sure what to make of that yet. We might just have to wait to see, a couple weeks if anything suggests another way.
I mean,
Well, okay, so here's the thing. Go ahead.
one thing it might be is because if they were to try to run it around, well, from this angle, the right side, they're going to be just on the edge of that already developed versus land that they're just starting to fill in. So they might have opted to go with land that they know is more stable, relatively speaking, versus trying to straddle that yet to be filled in and developed area versus just already known land that they know is going to be more solid to work with.
Well, the other thing though that's crazy is unless you're driving the vehicles in from Pad 2's entrance, until they move all these new methane tanks, there's not a lot of room between the tank, the end of the trench, and if you're going to have, yeah, that corner is getting very tight. And now if you're going to put the propellant trenches across it.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, and I need to go back and look at images from pad 2, but I think that this doorway, I can't remember if on pad 2 if the cryo tubes go in through here or if they go up behind. Hold on.
They all went through the doorways.
Yeah, they went.
Yeah, and this door is much smaller, right?
So on this pad, the door is taller. On pad 2, they actually have the two doors. I believe there's a lower one and the upper one that was in the speed core.
Yeah. So something tells me they're not going to be able to put those cryo tubes through here, and that they have to come in the same way that they did the first time.
Yeah,
which is basically up through here.
It still seems very odd. I mean, that side is going to be subjected to the plume. Seems a little weird to do that.
But even if they had to come into there, they could still run the lines for the booster around, and then instead of being a direct T to the tower, make it be more of an L coming off of those lines into the tower.
Yeah, that's what it looked, an LT right here.
Yeah, I'm saying if they ran it around the far side like we were thinking they would, instead of team directly, they could still come off and then over to the tower. They wouldn't necessarily have to bring it, because this way they can have a straight shot from the lines to the tower. They could have run it the other way and then had it come over to the tower and then make a right, or I guess from this angle, be a left to the tower. So maybe they were trying to eliminate that extra turn.
But now for the covering for the propellant trench is going to have to be completely reinforced entire area, since that's right on the stacking area as well.
True.
I mean, they're doing that previously, but they've definitely upgraded the entire area on pad 2.
Yeah,
That's all. Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah, this is just showing the methane farm here is not long for the world.
It is not. I'm trying to find a view where I can see the extended pad area a little bit better. So do we know if there's supposed to be anything permanent over here, or is this, I forget if this is a staging area,
Part of
on the
it
plans
is
as well too?
staging area, and the part that they have the muck on is the one of the liquefaction starts on towards the flame trench exit. Yeah, in that area they have is the liquefaction methane or natural gas liquefaction, part of their preconditioning train, which looking at this is right next to.
Sorry about that.
Okay, wait.
I was trying to pull up the little diagram, and I clicked on Patreon Lounge and ended up in Show and Tell. So hopefully
I've
that
never
didn't kill
did
the
that.
stream for you there, Matt.
No, you're good.
Try to keep you on your toes.
Yeah. It just got all quiet out of nowhere, and I was like, "Wait, what happened?" I can't find that diagram though right here, but oh well. I was looking for that. If somebody does want to put that in Patreon Lounge, we can pull it up, but if not, it's okay. Oh, that was quick. Good job, Creeper. Let's see.
I was about to say Josh is usually great, and he beat me to it.
So staging pad, liquefaction, GSE. This blast wall is going to be interesting.
Right?
Oh, wait, sorry. That's the road. It's just this right here. So blast wall around this. Then another one going here.
Yep. And I just assumed that little small road was going to be the propellant line. The L one right along the trench and the GSC. No,
right here.
Yeah, that's where I used to assume was going to be.
Yeah, it looks like a road.
Right.
Pretty interesting. Yeah, this is the one that I think I'm most concerned about, and I think the ground support equipment will be fine. They probably won't actually have anything there during launch events, but this one is going to be interesting.
That one is supposed to be bulk tank storage. On one of their documents, that's what they describes that as.
Okay, so they've changed this from what it says currently.
Yeah, well, the LNG liquefaction, I think they have the two, and I think they're calling CH4 generation is just where they're doing their final stripping to purify up LNG and get rid of some of the residual short chain hydrocarbons.
Why would they have two liquefaction?
Yes. No,
Well, as close as they are to the trenches, it's probably for redundancy.
right?
Right. This is a good point.
Now, Ryan, are the round staging pads the abort targets?
Possibly. Yeah.
Pretty close.
Well, for pad 2, not really. It should be more like where the LNG liquefaction is. For pad 1,
Good.
yeah.
Wait, why would this one be over here?
Well, draw a line on pad 1 where to the staging pad, how it kind of comes in. Well, pad 1, not 2. So yeah, draw a line, like see how it's, maybe, 60 degrees off of the trench, and then, apply kind of the same logic over to pad 2. That's roughly what it should be.
I mean, if you think about where from the corner of the tower where the chopsticks are going to be sitting wide open, basically a line straight out from that would be the most logical abort point. So if you do that on pad 1, it's roughly where that staging pad is marked. But on pad 2, it'd be where LNG liquefaction is.
I hope we never see anything land in those spots.
Correct.
It's a very bad day.
I mean, if it's a super empty vehicle, maybe it wouldn't be so bad.
I mean, it'd be like SN8, just turning into a fireball. It's not like an explosion. It's mainly just a fireball.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd honestly
going
be
back
more
to-
worried. I'd be worried about the debris more than anything. I think that'd be probably the worst that any of the infrastructure would probably have to deal with.
Yeah, for sure. Because an actual staging pad doesn't necessarily. They'll actually just leave them on the pad, but that's what they like to do as roadblock.
You're potatoing again.
No. It looks like my signal is
Now you're
doing
good.
fine. Okay.
So we heard you start talking about staging pad and then nothing after that.
Oh, well, I was saying that the only thing that staging pads make sense for is for placing the transport stands before launches. Like to actually stage vehicles there doesn't necessarily make sense to me. But the transport stands, they seem to like to use those as roadblocks, so I don't know if we'll actually ever see them truly stay on the pad.
Yeah, I don't know if staging really relates to vehicles more so than just staging equipment. Is probably more accurate.
Yeah. Okay, I will move us over to pad 2. I suppose I should see if we have any questions first.
We have a few questions. Brian's asking is that space that you were pointing out for the rocket garden?
I'm guessing they were talking about in the village?
I believe so.
Yes, so the rocket garden is basically in the village. This.
Starship Park.
Allegedly. Any other questions?
Nicholas is wondering, could it be that SpaceX is building the OLM for Pad 1 almost as completely as in Roberts Road, and then lifting it with the LR-13,000 over the flame trench?
Wait, lifting what over the flame trench?
The OLM for Pad 1.
I think their question is basically, are they going to complete it more? If you remember, Pad 2 was a little less complete than the one over at KSC, so I think they're asking, are they going to likely complete it and then lift it?
You start to get
I think it
very
depends on
close
which crane
to
you
the
have.
weight limit of like most of the cranes they can even access. I mean, as soon as you start stacking up a lot of the metal on there, they could probably put on all the water manifolds. But beyond that, I think you probably don't want to do any more than that.
Yeah. Answering a question from the chat, somebody asked if I have Starlink. No, I don't have a reason to have Starlink, to tell you the truth. My internet's super fast on most days, and actually probably 2 to 3 times faster than Starlink currently. So, no, I do not. And second question I see in here, is it possible? Wait, that wasn't the one I was looking at. Oh, no, it was a comment. I like that you still have it saved as Pad B. Yeah, here's why, actually, in case anybody wants to know. Because I rename everything in my folders and by location and date, and so I don't like having a 2 before the date. So for that alone, I'm not going to rename anything as Pad 1 and 2 in my files. And I have that like going all the way back to basically 2024 Pad A and B. So like to change the naming scheme is just not going to happen. Way too many files. Yeah, Pad 2.
Pad B.
Yeah. So we did have our static fire of booster 19 this week. It was the first 33 engine test of a V3 booster. First, the most Raptor 3 engines tested at the same time. And it was pretty glorious, I will say. And I'll go ahead and pull up some footage of that. I think we'll use SpaceX footage. Actually, did Mauricio get that one? Because I don't have it. Oh, his camera got knocked out during the test, didn't it?
I thought he had.
We had a video from it.
Okay. I don't have it for some reason, but I will play this SpaceX one, which I'm sure all of y'all have seen, but we'll go ahead and watch it again. And I'm not going to put the audio on for this right now. I will here in a second, though. But yeah, so this was the first 33 engine test, and I kind of confused myself on this because I initially came out and said that this was as aggressive as it was because of the fact that they're igniting all 33 engines at the same time. And then somebody in the comments on that post said, "Are you sure about that? Because it looks like there's multiple ignitions." So I actually went back and changed my opinion based on that. Because, contrary to a lot of people's beliefs, I'm not that stubborn where I'm not willing to change my mind on things. But part of the reason I had that feeling in the first place is because that's kind of what I've been expecting. I think a lot of us have been expecting that. Just everything about the design of the version 3 booster, in my opinion, is related to simultaneous ignition and simultaneous shutdown. That's everything that, in my opinion, that they're really trying to do with the plumbing situation. So that was, I initially assumed at first that was going to be a simultaneous ignition. And after further analyzing it, I am back to thinking that this is a single simultaneous ignition, which does explain why it's so aggressive when it comes out. So there's actually a few different things going on here, which, as I said at the beginning of the show, I wasn't initially not planning on talking about, but it's really cool, so I might as well. So you have like two different things happening here. You have the spin start, and unlike the spin start on the version 2 boosters, I guess there's two different types of spin starts. So you have a spin start without igniters and spin start with them. Previously, on the version 2 boosters, as far as we can tell, the igniters didn't require a spin start but on here it does. So the igniter test includes spin start. And so you can actually see the pressure wave. This first pressure wave is the spin start. And it's the reason it's such a large pressure wave. Actually, this is not even really the best angle to show it because they actually cut it off in this footage now that I think about it. I think Mauricio's might show it.
It's very
I feel like I should play the audio on this one, but yeah, you can see it. Okay, so I'll play the audio on this mainly because I want to hear what it sounds like. Yeah, so
You muted yourself, Zach.
sorry. Yes, I it's hard to do this on YouTube to step through it like I want to, but what you can see basically is that initial flash, and even here it doesn't show it that well. There we go. So you see that flash and the big pressure wave come up from the bottom. Like that pressure wave is similar in size to the initial ignition phase, ignition sequence for like booster 7 through 9-ish, when they started with, what was it? I think it was like half of the center engines, if I'm not mistaken. So there was four steps in the ignition sequence. And then they went to 13, 15, 5. But this is similar to like, I think it was maybe the center 3 or something that they were doing. I can't really quite remember how they did it on 7, 8, and 9, or sorry, 7 and 9. But that's a big pressure wave just from that that spin start, basically the igniters. And then after that, all 33 of those engines ignite at the same time, which is why it basically just explodes out of the trench like that. There's no staged ignition, which is crazy. And to further kind of drive that point home, I do have another video that again, was the one I was not going to share, but I will. So I spent like an entire day with talking about this with Ryan and TSE, because trying to put together exactly what was happening during that test. And this video actually shows it really well so that you can see what is happening. So I'll go ahead and play this one. Yeah. So once you see it that way, I think it's fairly clear exactly that this is what's happening. Initially, I thought that there might be multiple ignitions. This was kind of what I was thinking was happening after those comments on X. I was like, oh, maybe it is a staged, a 3-step sequence, because you can actually hear 3 separate sounds in the waveform during the spin prime, and so it actually did sound like there was 3 separate spin primes happening at the same time. But I'm pretty confident that's not the case. So yeah, just really awesome to be able to finally see what this looks like in real life. And I think most of you guys are probably wanting to know how the flame deflector looks like. And I mean, you can't even tell.
Yeah, it's pretty pristine.
There
I
is,
expected maybe the ridge might have a little bit of wear or discoloration, but yeah, it hardly doesn't really look
no.
like it even has anything.
Like if I missed the static fire test and you told me that one happened and I went to look for clues in these images, I would not believe you. Because you just can't see any signs. I mean, and I honestly, what I expected was that it would look cleaner in here, that it would basically steam clean the entire trench, but not even that happened. Like, it just looks the exact same.
The very bottom of the ramps might be slightly darker, but with all the rust and everything else, it's hard to tell.
Are these some scorch marks right here, maybe?
That paint has had it rough. It's peeling on the Lux QD hood as well from previous to the static fire.
I hope they paint it black. That would be awesome. Just the primer areas, paint those black. There was something else about the trench that I wanted to say, though. I forgot what it was. Oh, I know what it is. Okay, did Joey Bag of Donuts show up yet?
Not yet.
All righty. Well, so I I did want to mention his comment on X this morning because I think a lot of people feel this way, and just in relation to what we should expect to see next as far as testing goes. And I guess this was kind of mostly in response to what I had said. Okay, so somebody was mentioning that we should expect launch on May 2nd. And I think a lot of people have kind of been saying, I've heard it multiple times. And so in my opinion, I don't think that May 2nd is going to happen just because I don't think that we're done with booster testing. So that the test that we saw was like literally 3 seconds. If that, I think it was 3 seconds. I mean, I don't know how anybody would be confident with launching a brand new vehicle after a 3-second static fire test. So for one, and I do have to walk back one thing I said, I initially said I don't think this was long enough to actually test the autogenous pressurization system. However, I think I was probably mistaken on that because in the previous test with Booster 7, which was the only known test where they didn't use autogenous pressurization, it was venting that gas out of the vents the entire time, and we don't really see any venting on this. So that means that unless they completely closed in those autogenous valves, however that works on those engines, unless they had that completely just shut in, then they are more than likely actually using it here. But 3 seconds is like nothing. There is some throttle up happening in here. Kind of. And I'm honestly on the fence about whether or not what we're truly seeing in here is a real throttle up, specifically right here-ish. It appears to be a throttle up, but I think there's a possibility that what we're actually seeing is a partial failure of the deluge system at that point. So this, Elon did say after the first...
Sorry to interrupt, Zach, but maybe just to put it into context, we're still expecting there to be some amount of ignition holding on the pad to verify that systems are good, and then a throttle up. So given that the static fire was like 3 to 4 seconds long, that still, while it's would be extremely quick, that doesn't seem like it's long enough for them to then transition into like a throttle up profile that we would expect to see on actual liftoff. So I think that's probably playing into a little bit of your assumption here about, is that actually throttle up or is there something else going in there as well?
Yeah, and to not, I mean, in my opinion, if you did a 3-second static fire test and then we're like, all right, let's do it, like that is crazy. Like I'm flying down there to watch that launch because of the crazy thing that you're about to do. That just, in my opinion, doesn't make sense. Even if you're, I guess his follow-up comment And again, I'm only saying this because I think a lot of people think this way, but I do want to read it word for word. So it said, personally, I think all that's left for testing are integrated stack testing. No more firing since neither booster nor ship is coming back to the pad. This flight itself will serve to test header tanks, engine relay. There's actually less risk to the tower and GSE this way. The most important with this brand new hardware is to get it off the pad safely. I think the static fires to date, plus additional integrated testing, accomplishes that. And I don't think I've seen a statement that I disagree with more strongly this week, because in my opinion, what we've already seen so far from the testing campaign, specifically with the booster, is something far more. What's the word I want to?
Meticulous.
Yeah, like they're going through every single step, and they're, in my opinion, taking less chances than they did with Booster 7, which is the most comparable, I would say. So, yeah, I just personally would not be comfortable with okay, yeah, let's put the ship on top, throttle up, put it through something that it's never even done before right now, which is, it will to some degree happen because, on that first launch, I highly doubt during static fire testing they go past like 70% throttle. So that launch will be the first time they exceed that. However, if you don't test at least the landing tanks, so your header tanks, then that means that the first time you test them would be when you go to land it in the water, which is also what I think is most likely to happen on Flight 12, another water landing. So, in my opinion, if you don't test it and then it fails during that landing, then you just wasted. I mean, you're going to lose those engines anyways, but you wasted that testing opportunity because of just not doing the pre-test. So, in my opinion, I think we'll see them move this. It's already back in the Mega Bay. I think it'll come back out, maybe with the ship first to do full stack testing. Then I think that we'll probably see at least one, if not. What do you think, Ryan? Multiple static fires from booster? Like I expect a full duration, like at least 10 seconds minimum, and then another one for the 13 engines using the landing tank. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was more than that. What are your thoughts?
I think from the beginning of this pad, seeing how it's gone together with the way that they're holding onto the booster, I've always had the opinion that they definitely are going to try and static fire at higher throttle loads to try and replicate a little bit more of what they might see in flight, right after liftoff. So I've always had the opinion that they definitely are going to try to go over like a thrust to weight of 1.0 during their static fire campaign. Now, whether we saw them do that during this static fire, we won't know. I feel like they might brag a little bit about how much thrust was generated if they do something like that. So I'm not sure that we actually saw them, do a lot of thrust, and I still think that they probably would want to do that before doing an actual launch because at this point, this would be their only active launch site. They probably cannot have a pad fallback event or anything similar to that. So they probably want to make sure that it at least probably the first 30 maybe 15-30 seconds of flight is going to be ironed out pretty well. So with that said, I think they would certainly like a longer static fire. I envision something that ramps the throttle up in various stages so they can see how the systems respond to the different throttle levels, across the whole system, not just booster, but even like the deluge system, because you're kind of fighting the water pressure with the exhaust pressure from the booster, so that it is a circular relationship there, which we don't really need to get into too deep, but there are things that I think still need to be ironed out. Now, I am holding out a little bit of thought that there's the possibility that they could be combining some of the tests where same thing kind of with the ship. I'm not entirely sure how they really could have done it, but there's a chance on the booster that they could fire from the landing tank during one of these tests while they're doing all 33 engines versus just instead of pulling propellant from the main tanks for all of the engines. They could split it. Whether they would actually do that is maybe a little bit more up in the air, but I think, they may skip the landing burn specific static fire, because I do think they want to test things in flight. I think if they can do the 33, they feel fairly confident that maybe the 13 are going to work. But I think that for this first flight of version 3, if you've watched the testing process for months now, they're very focused on the ascent phase. Everything after ascent seems like it's, kind of a bonus. So whether or not there's another static fire, not sure, but if there is one, I would expect it to probably be a longer static fire, if anything.
Yeah, I agree. Back to what I kind of started to say before. During the 10 engine test, that one was also super short. Like the main ignition happened and they shut off immediately. So the fact that SpaceX even mentioned that was a successful test was wild to me, because something clearly happened and they said that it was a ground side issue. So I don't know if I've already said this before on the previous show, but really there's not a ton of ground issues that can happen once the engines are already lit, because you're not actively supplying gas or liquids from the ground equipment to keep those engines firing. So at that point, it's in the hands of the vehicle. So the only ground issue, in my opinion, that can really happen is a failure of the deluge system. And so one of the things that about this is that, like, when you have, especially, I was actually more worried about the ridge cap, because unlike the flame deflector, like let's look straight down. So the plume does sweep across the entire flame deflector, but as far as like direct impingement, it's within this footprint right here. And so like 60% of the deflector doesn't have the plume firing directly down on it. 100% of the ridge cap gets that flame. And so the question that specifically Ryan mentioned, which I kind of, if I'm being honest, didn't give any thought to initially, was that when you have all of this force, this pressure wave acting on this, that pressure wave can travel backwards through the fluid into the water tanks, into the top of the gas manifolds, and back to the gas generators. So refer to those as transients, which basically, I mean, it's hard to believe, in my opinion, even now describing it, that pressure wave would travel all the way back through those pipes into the, through the weirs, into the bottom of the tanks, up through the gas column, through the manifold, and back to the gas generators. Sounds far-fetched. However, I mean, immediately after this test, we see them working on that system, which, let me see if I can find that image. This might do it. So as soon as it shut down, that's the one thing I was looking forward to, was this flyover, because this is actually the first image that I went to look for to see if they were going to be working in this area, and sure enough, they were. So you can see them adding some vents onto here, and I'm not even going to get into what I think they're doing because I have no idea. I haven't had time to look into it yet, but this is the ridge cap system that they're messing with right now. So, I don't know. I think based on all of that stuff that I just said, the fact that I was kind of expecting that if there was an issue, it would be with this system, and this is the one they're working on. I don't know. I think there's something behind that. I'm not going to say it's like definite, but in my opinion, the deluge system alone could push out Flight 12. Like if they're unable to perform a full test, like if you think about with the 10 engine test, they didn't even have, I think it's 11 engines that are on top of the ridge cap. They only had like less than 50% of those on. So if you're having that kind of issue with, maybe like 4 or 5 engines, I think was on the ridge cap, then of course you're going to have it when you have all 11. So this, in my opinion, is a big deal. And this is part of why they keep testing it so frequently. I mean, this is a point that I am making during this part 3 episode, is that like there's a lot of reasons that make these gas generators far surpass the water recirculating vaporizers at Massey's, but the one place where they lose is complexity. They're like 10 times more complex than the system at Massey's, if not more. So theoretically, this can become a problem, and they tend to solve almost all their problems. So I imagine through the data that they've been collecting, that's told them that whatever they're doing right here is going to solve the problem. And I hope that's the case. But in my opinion, this alone is enough reason for us to see more than one static fire test on the booster, let alone what the vehicle needs. They need to verify that this is going to work, because the last thing you want to do is, as soon as you get to throttle up, you start losing gas generators because they're getting choked out by liquid nitrogen. I wish I could show the animations in order to explain this, but Ryan is still rendering those out, and y'all will have to wait for part 3 in order to, I guess, get the even better understanding of that. But yeah, I mean, in my opinion, this is super risky because if it doesn't work, then they got a lot of retrofitting to do in order to actually get this system in a reliable state.
I mean, and the other thing too is that fine-tuning the system, while it can take some time, if you don't do it, you're also running the risk of burning out infrastructure that is not exactly easy to replace. Yes, they could put in a new ridge cap if it gets damaged, but that's time that easily exceeds the amount of time of just trying to fine-tune the system, in my opinion.
Also be, I don't want to say a lot of work, but be a tricky operation to do with the OLM in place, because you'd have to move it out sideways underneath the OLM, unless you cut it out in pieces. But then you'd have to put the new one in, either in pieces or sideways.
Put in pieces, weld it in SUI. There's a ton of welding that they did post installation on that ridge. I to this day still question why what the system buys them that the previous systems don't.
3 times more volume of gas minimum.
You can generate the gas either way. You're pressure limited. How much volume of water you're pushing out those pipes to their pressure rating. It's a fixed limit. You can generate that gas any way you like without liquefying, without flame vaporizing it. There's also,
if I was trying to improve, if I wasn't trying to improve the Massey system, I would just install water heaters.
Massey's,
I
don't see anything that would need fixing with Massey's. It's a single shot through. You run water.
Well, what I'm saying is, you're limited to room temperature nitrogen versus 200 degree nitrogen, which is a lot greater volume. So if they wanted to improve the heat transfer efficiency, they could just heat the water.
200 degrees, hitting those tanks, ideal. If you have any sort of sloshing, you're going to have pressure crashing. Ideal gas law is a thing. Running, it's the same thing where people say, "Hey, we're using hot gas to heat those for the Taj's generation." As soon as you shut the engines off at orbit, if that tank's full with hot gas, you're going to crush the tank, because it's when you stop the engines, the fuel is going to essentially atomize into little droplets. That's going to cause pressure to crash, as it tends to do. There's areas where hot gas is not your friend. And when you're dealing with maintaining pressures, anything that you can have wild excursions in your temperature range is not a good plan.
I'm gonna have to think about that one a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, PV with NRT, it's one of the anytime you're dealing with gas, it's as basic as you can get. Double the pressure, you either half the volume or double the temperature, more or less. It's a linear relationship until it breaks down. And in this regime, it's pretty much the holding principle. We're not getting into intermolecular forces and other niceties.
I'm sorry. I'm just looking at people in the chat. Part 3 will be before Artemis 5. Y'all are crazy. Part 3 is mostly done. I just haven't recorded on camera scenes, and Ryan had to redo all of the animations because we discovered new features. So like the animation alone, even if the episode was done, I still wouldn't be able to release it for like another week and a half because I mean we got to wait for it to finish rendering the animations.
Oh my god, Zack, you
rendering phase yet either. I mean, so
yeah,
I mean a little bit of
you're just doing a
backstory.
simulation. You haven't even rendered it.
Yeah, so Zack and I finished the all the stuff for the gas generators back in like December, and it's just been sitting on hard drives. And then we found out more details about it, and we're like, okay, well, we'll just add in more detail, and it kind of spiraled from there. So I'm still doing a fluid simulation that's been taking like 150 hours to do, and it's got like 3 days left. So we got to do that, and then we got to get the rendering actually in place. So that's, at least on my end, that's maybe a little bit of a holdup.
Oh, please. Back in the day, we had some massive the simulation software that went for 28 days. So 150 hours. It's nothing. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm banking on Flight 12 happening mid-May. I'm because I don't want to rush to do what I need to do. So that's when, for multiple reasons, I expect it to be in May. Or sorry, mid-May,
Well,
not the
Zack,
beginning.
time for a Threadripper setup with multiple GPUs.
Some
I mean,
problems don't scale.
It's only about 20,
linearly.
25 grand. No big deal.
I mean, that might help Ryan. It won't help me.
Right.
Yeah, we don't want Ryan to burn his house down. But yeah, on that note,
Ship
I mean,
it to the
I do
cloud.
think, like I said, go ahead.
Ship it to the cloud.
Can you even do that, Ryan?
I'll just say the amount of time that would take to revise and redo in the cloud and the amount of money that it would cost, it's actually cheaper just to buy the hardware yourself.
Depends on the workflow and if somebody's giving you a 10 gig link. But yeah.
Really quickly,
I worked in
before
visual effects for about 2 decades doing system engineering and scaling. So yeah, that's my wheelhouse.
Really quickly, I did want to just mention, because I always forget to do this. If you guys haven't hit that like button yet, please do us a favor and do that. I think about just under 400 of y'all have done that so far. So we appreciate those of you who are on the ball already. Also, thanks to everybody who has donated already. I think for those of you who haven't seen it in the chat, we do have a goal of 20 super chats. We do not necessarily ask for them as much as some other channels do, but it is equally as helpful, if not more, given the cost involved with doing these flyovers. So definitely appreciate everybody who has donated so far. And with that, I almost completely forgot to talk about these really cool top-down images of Booster 19 as was being prepared to move back. And I think we have looked at this before, the grid fins, but it's really cool to be able to see it from this angle because like you can't even see the other grid fin down here at all.
What grid fin?
Yeah, it's mainly because of the lighting. You're not getting the backlit concrete against the dark grid fin. So,
You
and
can,
in
if you look
pixel
real close, you
density,
can just barely see the V right,
Yeah.
yeah,
right there.
I
You
can
can
see this.
just, and even then, you have to really look for it.
And compression is eating it alive.
yeah, that's what I was
That
getting
too.
to. So, yeah, the pixels just aren't showing what's there, even though it is. So it would look comparable to the other one if the lighting was the same underneath it. But I mean, you can even see in the shadow on that one how it starts to get lost there. So yeah,
Yeah.
but it's a good example showing how that other fin, just the entire waffling is angled, which is pretty cool. I know it irritated a lot of people at first, but function over form sometimes.
Hey, we like getting irritated, Ryan, about trivial nonsense.
I want to see the CFD models, the simulations of this in flight, specifically this one.
It's probably to do with the angle of the attack, minimizing its or the airflow versus the booster, how much sort of slip angle it has.
Well, I mean, I definitely understand what it's doing. I just want to
Yeah.
see. I want to be able to
Oh,
see it.
okay. Please give me a lift. Let me
Right.
up until you
Yeah,
hit
this is
transonic and it turns into a barn door. But
there was one more thing I wanted to mention that I don't know if Ryan saw this yesterday because I didn't even know about it until yesterday. And then this was like I usually don't talk a whole lot during show and tell because I'm usually working on other things at the same time. But when I saw this, I like unmuted myself immediately. So a few weeks ago, they had these lines marking where the booster, or sorry, where the SPMTs drive in from. Matter of fact, I should probably just pull that up. Okay, I think I went too far back there. If this okay, so they made this change more further back than what I noticed, I guess. Sorry, I'm like searching through previous images. Okay, I think this is it. So yeah, you could see um, the lines right here that marked where the SPMTs need to basically line up to. And so now you can see that they have changed that to come in from a direction that you can only actually reach in one way, which is sideways. So, and I didn't even notice this when they rolled it in. I'm gonna have to go back and look at footage, but I'm guessing they had to pull up right here, turn the wheels sideways, and jog it in sideways in order to get there.
Yeah, you can see them do it on the streams. I mean, with some of the cameras are up, like the time lapses, you can see it, and it takes them a little bit of time to actually work it into position. It kind of wobbles back and forth a little bit as they're applying, you know, more distance in one axis or another. But yeah, as they're steering the wheels, it kind of wobbles back and forth, and it's purely because the arm there on the right side is basically at its limit when they're in the staging area. So they kind of have to slide the vehicle in. I mean, the ship will be probably a little bit easier because of the orientation that they can have the vehicle on the transport stand. But
Yeah,
for the
this is
most
the ship
part,
right here, right?
yeah, they'll just kind of be driving it in a little bit. But yeah, boosters fun, and it's been known that it would be fun for a while, especially once the grid fins were put on and we realized how wide it was and all the constraints that come from transporting the vehicle out of the mega bay with it like that. And yeah, so it's fun. They've had to change a little bit, but I think once they get into Giga Bay, it'll be a little bit easier, hopefully.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I mean, it's the funniest thing just because of the fact that you have to drive out of the mega bay with the booster turned to the side like this because of the grid fins, and that determines everything that happens after, which is funny. And like I said, I'm pretty sure maybe this got mentioned on a previous week, but I didn't see it, so I thought it was funny to mention now. Yeah, I think there's some other few things that we're probably gonna need to see before Flight 12. Maybe not necessarily requirements, but I guess it depends on how you look at it. So with the tower specifically, well, they're definitely going to put the rest of those handrails up. They're not going to launch without mounting all those. The cameras on the tower are not installed yet. Not necessarily a requirement, but I don't personally see them launching without those cameras. Not even just for our own viewing pleasure, but for their own, like, because I think two of them, if I'm not mistaken, two of them are engineering cameras, and the other two are ones that they actually show us. Technically, they're all engineering cameras, but I don't think they've actually showed us all of the cameras that are on the tower. So for their own purposes, I think that we will probably see them install those cameras before Flight 12. I don't know what y'all think about that, but at minimum, the railing around the roof will definitely have to be finished. I think they'll probably install more cladding as well.
May
What
or may
else?
not do more cladding, but yeah, I mean, anything that's loose sitting on the roof obviously needs to be bolted down, or it's just going to blow off when the booster plume gets above the tower. But yeah, I think there's still odds and ends, I guess, on the tower, but I think a majority of the focus is going to be making sure that the vehicles are, ground tested. Probably they can work on that stuff between, tank farm adjustments and whatever else they need to do between different tests.
I think maybe I just don't want them to launch without that, because that's going to be one of the best views, the top down, seeing the plume come out of the trench. So maybe it's just me being wishful.
Are you expecting cameras to be on the actual roof, or within those cutouts on the? Yeah, if there's cameras in there, yeah, I would assume that they would add some in there, and I would probably put them a pretty high priority before launch. I mean, you'd want to make sure you have all your vantage points for post-launch reviews for various things. So I would expect those to be a high priority. Honestly, I think that would probably be a higher priority than doing grid fin testing.
Agreed. Yeah. I'm glad I'm not saying something crazy. I mean, yeah, I feel like there's a few other things that are still going on out here too that we're not necessarily seeing. But again, that deluge farm is a big one as well. Is there anything else from I think there's just small things like the little pipe that they moved out here, but that was last week, I think, when they moved this.
Yeah, or they had broken it up the previous week.
Yeah, so this is similar to the methane vent that we talked about, or potential methane vent at Massey's that we talked about at the beginning of the show. So that's what this is. I'm not fully convinced that that's methane, but it is coming obviously from the methane side of the bunker, which makes sense. But this does explain this whole new isolation farm, like, in a way, because that's one of the main purposes of all of this, is to purge everything out during that closeout. So that's part of that sequence, is them pushing all of this methane out.
And the volume of that catch basin also, for the original catch basin that they demoed to, yeah, that looks sideways guesstimate of about the amount that the propellant the pipes would have.
Yeah,
It is
you
interesting.
could.
I was looking at the size, at least of the gravel area too, like comparing that to at Massey's for the ship. It seems like it's considerably larger at Massey's compared to what they have here, but maybe that's just because it's just open dirt. They don't really care about a well-defined perimeter. That is if it's even the
just
same
weird to
thing.
me to bank methane without flaring it, because even Blue Origin, they have a massive flare stack on their pad.
I guess
Yeah.
one thing could be is, they're still haunted by what happened with SN4. But
I mean, if you look at the flare stadiums that they're building at the LNG plant, it's kind of something that would be.
What are you talking about?
Where is it? Just far left of the image, right at the edge. All that pipe work. That's a giant
Whoa.
flare. Yeah,
wow, there's a big one.
Hold on.
there's
Where
two
is
of
it?
them.
Dang it. Nope. What the heck?
Yeah.
So,
And they're building a third right next to it.
There's their flare. We need to blow it all out when a train backs out.
how does that work? So, is it just like pilot holes, like holes on here, and it just
Yeah, those are all. It's like a giant
ground level
giant Weber grill.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
So
I guess
there's
that's
ways
one way
to
to do it.
handle
I've never.
those surges, but yeah.
Why not just build a big flare stack?
They're building a 300-foot flare stack in addition to there's flare stacks all over on the trains. There's a couple of them already. Of course,
It could be a
this
matter
image.
of capacity. Your normal size or style ones would work fine for normal operation, but if something goes wrong, you want to be able to get rid of everything as quick as possible. So if you have a giant open fire pit, basically it's going to get rid of a lot of LNG a lot quicker than normal flare stack would.
Right on. You just at the far right there, you can see one of their smaller flares. A little
This?
bit more. No. Further down, that's probably ethylene column. Further, past the fans, right there. Yeah, right there's the top of one of them.
One of the things about watching this construction over the last few years, when all of those facilities in the Middle East got attacked, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh, well, they'll be able to get them back online pretty soon." And I'm like, have you ever seen how long it takes to build one of these facilities?
It's just
Assuming that you can get that back online quickly is a joke.
the hundreds of miles of high pressure pipelines and welding on any refinery site. And this is LNG. LNG is fairly straightforward compared to cracking crude.
Yeah.
I mean, crude refineries are insane.
Yeah. I wish I could get a tour of this place just to understand some of the internals better.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
just the different stages for everybody's favorite hydrocarbon stripping.
Just reading stuff from the chat.
Yeah.
It looks like we're getting close to our goal. I think we're at 17 out of 20. So thank you to everybody who surged in donations right there. Really appreciate y'all. And Indy, did you want to read through those and see if we had any questions?
Sure. For the donations, we want to thank Aspen for their $10 donation, Just Martin for his 18-pound donation, and he did that over the span of several different donations independently. Ant-Man donated $7.77. Yazada donated $5 and says, here's another one. Revhead donated 10 pounds and says, thanks, everyone. P&W Johnny donated $9.99. And he says, thanks for all the amazing images. Keep up the great work, team. Then we got a donation from 6-7 who donated $10. This guy's gun who donated $5. And he says, we almost got this. Let's go. And then All for One came in with a $5 donation and says that I've been too silent. We also got a $10 donation from Crane Man via PayPal, and he says, great show, small donation for the next flyover. And that's it for the donations. Thank you all so much for the questions. There was a good question. Cumulus is wondering, would not have been more cost effective and less complex to install a gravity feed system like at KSC's Pad 39A and Pad 39B?
To install a what system?
Giant water tower.
A
Gravity system?
feed system. Yeah, gravity feed
No,
system
we don't.
is what they wrote.
We don't do that
No.
anymore.
Okay.
You would need two of them. The capacity of this farm is somewhere around 800,000 gallons. The one at the tower at KSC holds 450. Nobody really knows how much Blue Origins hold, but it's the biggest one in the world, and it's definitely not 800,000 gallons. So yeah, I think for a variety of reasons they don't want to do that, and the pressure that they're generating out of the system is far greater than what you're able to do with a water tower.
Let's see.
The water tower would have to be taller, about as tall as the integration tower, in order to match what this system is doing.
Yeah. Pretty close.
Yeah. And most water towers are about half that height. So, yeah. Maybe 3/4. Actually, no, it's probably closer to half. Blue Origins is actually kind of short, surprisingly, in relation to something like this tower. But yeah, I mean, that when they initially built the first tower, that a lot of us were hoping that the water tower would go inside of the integration tower. But yeah, obviously that didn't happen. And at this point, I just think we'll never see another gravity system from SpaceX ever again.
I think pretty much all of Stennis is big pump house.
Huge.
Yeah.
Probably the big downside of the tower, though, is it's just not you can't handle the dynamic effects as much. So if you can do something on the ground that is, takes up less footprint, less, engineering structure, plus you can handle the dynamics, just with updating some lines of code. I mean, it's a little bit more efficient. It's very up SpaceX's alley.
Yeah, I mean, one, you're brute forcing with mass flow of a giant, the wall of water going down the pipe. The other one, they're finessing it a little bit. The mission critical, I'm more of a brute force person.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they clear the pad and deluge goes out, worst case, we saw it on flight 1. So, I mean, is it ideal? Far from, but that's kind of, I think, what they're looking at. What's a worst case scenario? And even if they did melt a hole in the ridge, as long as the gas generators are still going, you're flushing a ridiculous volume of water directly into the plume. So, yeah.
Cool. Any more questions?
We actually got 3 more donations that got us to our goal. We want to thank GUI Gaming, who donated $2 and says, thanks for the amazing views. James Wilson donated $10 and says, almost. And Andy Alder got us there with got us at the last donation to 20 with the £2 donation. Thank you all so much. And do you want one more question?
Yeah, let's do it.
Brian Ayres is wondering, why is there more exhaust coming out of the roadside versus the ocean side from Pad 2?
There's a LOX vent that was clouding it, but during the main show, it was, I think, fairly even.
Looks pretty even to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it's just that LOX vent that they're purging off. That's because if you look right above the ground plane, that looks the same.
I want to see that pond catch on fire.
I want to see I would rather see any of the 4 engineering cameras looking at the ridge. If I had one wish of what camera I could view on the next static fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just a little
cool.
ask.
I think you'd be
Was that
disappointed.
Since we're
the,
naming our wishes, I would wish we could see the camera views from inside the BQDs as the doors close on launch.
I'd be surprised if we ever see that.
Right.
Hey, I know it's wishful thinking, but, we can wish.
Actually, if I could have anything, I want to tap their SDI network.
What's SDI?
Serial digital interface. A bunch of they're using all pro level video cameras. One of the ones they had on slide, I think, was 6G SDI. So it's a SMPTE spec uncompressed video, essentially.
One of their coolest cameras during launch is going to be this one right here. Because I don't know if I think it moves. You should be able to follow it up past the tower, I think.
I definitely think the most impressive camera view is going to be looking down in the trench. Otherwise, all the other views are going to be obscured with steam clouds or the DSS water. Definitely looking down from the top is probably going to be the most impressive view.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, especially when the pancake fires, that's going to change the dynamics of everything.
Yeah, once that fires off, none of the ground cameras are really going to see much, probably.
Which is interesting though, because I mean, from what I can tell, I think we initially thought it would come on as the engines were throttling up. But now I think it might come on like near the same time as the other ones.
I
didn't expect to see them
come on later
with the booster.
Yeah, I still think it's going to come on a little bit later, though. I don't think it's going to come on the same time.
I hope so.
Because think about it, with the deflector, they're trying to flood the base of the trench a little bit before ignition happens. They don't need to be firing out of the plate because you've got several seconds they're going to hold it there and then lift off. And it's going to be even a couple of seconds after that the plate actually becomes effective, like protecting it becomes effective, once the booster starts to pitch over. So, otherwise you're basically sitting there firing it for like 10 seconds and it's not actually doing much.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's about wraps the show up, if that was the last question. I think we just hit the goal of 20 donations. That I don't know if that was from the last one that just came in or if it was a little bit before that. Indy, did you touch on all the rest of those?
Yes, I did.
Well, actually, we have had a few extras come in. Dave Avery with 5 gifted memberships. And then we had Ask Bruce Gordon with a $9.99 super chat saying every little bit helps. And Mr. Surname just sent in a £2 donation as well.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Well, thank
Matt.
you all for your donations. Go ahead, Indy.
No, I was just thanking Matt.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for your donations. Really appreciate your support, and everybody who also did us a favor and hit that like button as well. Definitely helps us to. I mean, I don't really know how much it helps with the algorithm, to tell you the truth. I never really get to personally see how the effect that it has, but allegedly it helps. So we thank you all for helping us out in that way. With that is all from me. I want to thank you all for being here with us today. I'm sure we have a lot more to cover next week. I'm not sure if I'll be on next week or not. I might be recording on-camera scenes by then. We'll see. But if not, then I will see you guys potentially the following week. And yeah, I'll pass this off to whoever wants to take it up from here.
Thanks, Zack. Thanks, Ryan. It was fun. We'll chat soon. And thanks, everyone.
Yeah, it was a good week, a lot of changes to go over, and hopefully the pace continues and we'll have just as much to talk about next week and the week after. So all leading up to the exciting first flight. So yeah, tons of stuff to check out in the coming weeks.
Thanks for having me as always, guys. I hope to see you on Tuesday for Starbase Expanded.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody being here, and as Indy said, we do have Starbase Expanded coming up on Tuesday. That is our next live stream. It is at 6 p.m. Central Time. For those who would like to tune in and check it out, we actually go over a little bit. We do a small review of all of the sites that we talk about on today's show. Just going over things that we may have missed or learned since then. We go over a couple things that have happened as well, and then we also go over all the support sites like Rio West and the Ad Astra School. We go into depth with the ASU a little bit more, land swaps, environmental reports, all kinds of stuff. So if you like to get all the nitty-gritty details about Starbase, be sure to tune in for that one. So until then, most engines cut off. Hot staging confirmed. Love you, bye.